morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today we've got the release of Secluded Springs. The new Pokemon trading card game Pocket set is out, and you know what that means? We need to do a little bit of a set review. We need to talk about this set. I need to tell you everything that you need to know. Sound like a plan? Excellent. So let's start off with all of the EXs which are coming along in this set, all of the ones that you need to know about. And yes, as we go through, I will show you all the fancy versions of them, because that's the kind of thing that I do. So starting off then, we have got ourselves Jumpluff, and we've got ourselves a full art, and we've got ourselves a fancy alternate art, as we do for most of them. 160 HP, single energy 70, and you can switch to the bench. Hit and run is good, but 160 HP on a stage 2, only doing 70 damage. I worry it's too much effort for too little reward. And there's only one other EX here that isn't a legendary beast. It is our old friend Poliwrath. It's another stage 2. And this one, I mean, look, 180 HP, okay. And free energy, 140, okay. But you need free energy, 2 of which have to be a fighting and a water. So, I'm not saying it's not going to work, but what I'm saying here is very similar to what I said about Jumpluff. You're asking a lot here for a stage 2, and whenever I look at stuff like this, I always like to compare it to like Solgaleo. Solgaleo for me is my go-to stage 2 EX in Pokemon TCG Pocket. It's a stage 2, and for 2 energy, I get to do 120 damage, and I've got a really nice ability that lets me jump in and out the active. I look at this and go, alright, this is my go-to. This is what I think a stage 2 should look like, plus 180 HP, and I just don't think these get up to that same kind of level. Argue with me in the comment section if you think I'm wrong. But we do obviously have the legendary beast that I showed you previously, and I want to go back to Suicune because I still contend that Suicune looks a little bit over the top, silly, good, busted. It's got they've all got the same ability. At the end of your turn, if it's active, you can draw a card. Also, I should mention, Suicune doesn't get an alternate art here because it gets the immersive, and that's what's on the screen. The immersive one. Yay! Doesn't get a gold card though, which is a little bit weird. And it's got an attack, which for 2 energy does 20 damage for each bench Pokemon, yours and your opponent's. That's up to 120 on a basic Pokemon for 2 energy with a typing that's very easy to accelerate energy too. And you got to bear in mind that your opponent obviously can go, ha 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 ha, I'm just not going to bench Pokemon that I want to bench. But if they're deliberately not benching Pokemon they want to bench to hurt you, that's a win for you. Now, Entei does get a rather lovely alternate art with the full art. Same ability as Suicune, but here for 2 energy you do 60 damage, but if you've got 4 energy attached you do 120. It's harder to accelerate fire energy than water. I worry that it's a lot of the time just a 2 energy 60, but high HP on a basic withdraw, that is not too bad. And then Raikou got same kind of thing again, but now it's 2 energy 60, plus it does 10 to one of your opponent's bench, which a lot of the time I like more than Entei. I think in the early game, Raikou's really, really nice, and we have recently had some nice ways to accelerate lightning energy. Also worth noting, if you put the artwork together for Entei and Raikou, something very, very lovely happens. So those are the EXs. We'll have a look at all the trainer cards in a minute, but first I want to talk about the Pokemon that you need to be aware of in this set. And we need to start off with Miltank. Specifically, Miltank and Whitney. And yes, Whitney does get a full art because it is a supporter card. They all do. No fancy version for Miltank, I'm sorry. But Miltank's got a redonkulous attack here for a single energy, Rolling Frenzy, 10 damage, but until it leaves the active spot, it does an extra 30 and it stacks. So the first time it does 10, then 40, then 70, then 100, then 130. What you really want with Miltank is a way to keep this alive. Obviously, we're going to use something like Giant Cape to get a bit more beef here, but then we still need a way to keep it alive. Oh, what's that? The supporter card Whitney. Yeah, that heals 60 from Miltank and lets it recover from sleep, paralysis, and confusion. Basically, it doesn't stop burn or poison that does damage, but it stops anything that would stop you attacking, which is really important because remember, you need to use the attack every turn to keep it ticking up nicely. So yeah, Miltank looks a little bit ridiculous. I know people are going to want to try it out. The other real fun gimmick deck here is Slowking with another new supporter card, Traveling Merchant. Slowking lets you discard up to 2 tools from your hand, doing 50 for each one discarded. Traveling Merchant lets you look at the top 4 cards of your deck and put all the Pokemon tools you find there into your hand. Yes, there is a deck to be made here with Slowking, and it's one you need to be aware of. Looks kind of fun, honestly. Now, maybe my favourite card from the set is Dugtrio. Love Dugtrio here. Because what we've got is, firstly, lovely paired artwork. And it's by Kamiya that I know a lot of people absolutely adore. And what we've got is single energy, 40 damage. But discard the top card of your deck. If it's a fighting Pokemon, you do 60 more damage. You cannot guarantee this most of the time, I'm sorry. But what you can do is play just a few trainers to help you get set up, majority fighting Pokemon, and cross your fingers. Bearing in mind some of those fighting Pokemon you're going to play are going to be like, Lucario, for instance, and that's going to let you do an extra 20 damage. So you're not actually doing 100, you're doing more, and that's kind of beautiful. Maybe it's going to be too awkward to make work. It's one I've got my eye on. The other one I really like on a personal level in this set is the new Zoroark. I think the new Zoroark looks awesome. What we've got from the new Zoroark here is an ability. 2 energy 70 is a bit meh. But if you get a KO by damage from this Pokemon's attack, then next turn you prevent all damage from and effects of attacks done to this Pokemon. Basically makes it invincible. And I think we might finally have a use for Lana and Araquanid. Oh, don't think I've forgotten about Lana and Araquanid, ladies and gentlemen. It's basically a full-on gusting supporter, choose whatever you like, but you've got to have an Araquanid in play, or even Victory Bell, which is your stage 2 that can do any gusting, but it is a stage 2. Well, that only gets a basic, but still. There's a lot of 70 HP or less Pokemon around right now. We don't have great any gusting, but I think Zoroark could finally take advantage of it, because take out all those weak Pokemon on the bench, take out all those evolving Pokemon while getting immunity. There is a deck here with Zoroark. Now, those are what I think are the stars of the set, but there's a few others I think we need to know about nice and quickly. We got a Celebi for 2 energy, does 40 damage, but it also devolves the Pokemon in the active spot. So, you get rid of the top stage of evolution, and then, hey, they might end up being KO'd anyway, and that could be really fun. Obviously, this one works very nicely with Superior. That doubles up grass energy, so Celebi becomes essentially a single energy attacker. Milotic, we mentioned before, because that was shown in the reveal trailer, and it does have a lovely fancy artwork version of it. When you evolve into it, you heal 60 damage from a water Pokemon. That's obviously a little bit ridiculous. So that's one we need to keep an eye on. Mantike's another one that was shown in the reveal trailer, and another one. Now, Mantike's weird. Mantike gets the gold card in this set. I don't know why Mantike gets the gold card. It's usually the EX, which is the poster child for the set. I don't know why it's Mantike, but it is. Also, no energy. Attach a water energy from your energy zone to a bench basic Pokemon. I'm telling you now, when Mega EXs are here, Mega EXs give up 3 points when they're KO'd. So you can give up 2 points and it doesn't matter at all. So Pokemon like this are going to be phenomenal because it literally doesn't matter if you give up 2 of these in the early game. Make no mistake about it, this is going to be wonderful for there. There's a Galarian Corsola here, which brings in that ability we've seen in the main TCG, that when it's KO'd, you flip a coin, and if heads, you also KO the attacking Pokemon. I despise this ability. However, it's there. So, yeah. Be on the lookout for that one. We got the pair of Latias and Latios that were shown off previously. Worth noting that not Latias, but Latios does have a fancy artwork here. And these work really nicely together. Latios has free retreat if you've got Latias in play. And Latias is single energy 40 if you've got Latios in play. Really, really nice, especially on turns 1 and 2 when you're just trying to get rolling. And the last one I think we need to give a shout out to here is Altaria, because Altaria for 2 energy does 100 damage, very high, but you got to have 2 or more different types of energy attached. In theory, shouldn't be an issue, but it's not always guaranteed, so that's something you need to look out for. Now, in terms of other fancy artwork Pokemon, we've obviously got the Donphan I showed you before, which, let's be clear, I do think genuinely might be the best artwork we've ever seen in the Pokemon TCG, real or pocket, and I don't say that lightly, but it's Okacheke. It's my favourite artist, drawing one of my very favourite Pokemon. I think this is beyond redonkulous. We've got a Stunfisk, 2 energy 50, it's fine. We got a Yamper, which is kind of lovely. And we've got an Azurill here, 30 HP, no energy, heal 50 from one of your bench. It's another one of those new baby Pokemon. Now, in terms of other trainers, there are a couple we haven't talked about. We got the new Pokemon Tool Inflatable Boat that reduces retreat cost by water Pokemon it's attached to by 1. But we've also got Memory Light here. We've been waiting for something like this. It lets you use the attacks of your previous evolutions. Now, I told you about the new Phanpy. And I told you that it wasn't the optimal Phanpy, because the one from Wisdom of Sea and Sky can do 30 damage for 1 energy, makes it great in the early game. That is true. But the new Phanpy has got an attack which lets it do as much damage as is on it. A flail attack, as we often call it. It's also literally called flail, if anyone cares. And, yeah. Donphan EX has 160 HP, which means you can do up to 150 for a single energy using this tool. And Phanpy, that's the kind of reason why this tool could be genuinely busted. Make no mistake about it, I kind of want to evolve this Phanpy now into my Donphan, because the flail is going to be awesome. Yes, the new Phanpy did bring a new Donphan. No, we don't need to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it, okay? We got one new supporter card we haven't talked about here. That is our Morty. And for each of your Psychic Pokemon in play, look at that many cards on the top of your opponent's deck and reorder them. Bearing in mind here that if you've got a full board of Psychic Pokemon, that's 4. That's rearranging the top 4 cards of your opponent's deck. That could be very, very relevant. And then, of course, we have a bunch of random shiny Pokemon that we need to talk about to finish off here. So we've got ourselves the entire Infernape EX line. Unfortunately, although it seems to have a lot of potential, not a card that's ended up being particularly good so far. Because it's 2 energy 140, but you got to discard all the fire energy, and there's just not a good way to reset that. We've got the Golduck line. Yay. We got the Kingler line. Yay. We've got Pyukumuku, who, you know, there's a tiny bit of potential there. We've got the Garchomp EX line. I like this one. Love me some Garchomp. We've got the Paldean Clodsire line. Love the Pokemon, but in reality, yeah. And then we got ourselves Mew. And bearing in mind, Mew is pretty cool. And this is a very nice looking shiny Pokemon. So that one's coming along as well. It's a mini set. It's an A set. But I tell you what, we've got some good Pokemon here. I've told you everything you need to know about the set. So now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you're excited about. Tell me what you're going to be building with. Tell me anything you want to tell me in the comment section. Get us! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi, That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join the Discord, and all kinds of fun things. And get shoutouts on the channel like the lovely Dojo, who's been a supporter of ours for a long time now and seems to be a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing is always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.